Hey everybody, it's your friend Daniel Hutchins, and today we are doing another controversial video. Controversy! You know me, it's controversy! You know me! What? Controversy! Controversy! Okay, so controversy again. Star Wars, should Darth Maul have stayed dead? Now, this is a question that a lot of Star Wars fans want to know. So hang on to your hats, cause there's gonna be some interesting stuff, y'all. So Darth Maul died in Phantom Menace, but the new Star Wars canons revived him in the Clone Wars. But should the fan favorite Sith Lord have stayed dead? Now that's a good question, cause we're about to find out, and this is from 15 minutes ago. Despite having relatively little screen time in the live-action appearance, Darth Maul is a fan favorite and Star Wars villain, but should he have stayed dead in Episode 1 of Phantom Menace? Well, that's a good fucking question. We're gonna find out. So Darth Maul was visually striking as a Sith Lord, and as an apprentice to the saga's ultimate villain we know, Darth Sidious, aka Emperor Palpatine. Yes, Sidious was ultimately the true villain in the Phantom Menace, but Maul was just his main enforcer, serving as his assassin and overseeing the Trade Federation lackeys during the invasion of Naboo. Now, Maul's epic lightsaber duel with Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi ended with the Sith Lord bisection and presumed death, but he's returned in later material, and his reasonable case could be made for Maul's survival being unnecessary or beneficial to his character. And the right answer to this matter is of personal taste. So Darth Maul's 1999 debut in Expanded Universe, now called Legends, was Star Wars' official timeline, and given Maul's popularity, he was a focus of numerous comic books and graphic novels. Unsurprisingly, Legends lore has established that Maul was a Zabrak, who was kidnapped as a child by Sidious due to his astounding intrinsic strength in the Force. Maul was raised by Palpatine and was put through brutal Sith training. Despite breaking the rule of two, Sidious was the apprentice of Darth Plagueis at the time. He's becoming a lethal fighter. Maul didn't survive in Phantom Menace duel in Legends, however, and died upon being cut in half by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay, so the latest article, How Clone Wars Changed Maul and Asajj Ventress Original Star Wars Origins. Now, we're not here to talk about that, but unless you want me to talk about it. But Star Wars The Clone Wars debuted before Legends became an alternate timeline, and contradicted that of countless elements of the established Legends lore. Now, for this reason, many fans consider it exclusively part of the post-2014 Star Wars canon, since it doesn't fit with the Legends-era Clone Wars multimedia project, and 2008, the Clone Wars retconned Maul's origin, establishing him as a Zabrak-like species from Dathomir. It also retconned his defeat, establishing that Maul had survived his gruesome dismemberment, though through his unnatural power of the dark side. Now, Maul went on to be a recurring nemesis to Obi-Wan, and a dangerous third party in the galaxy-spanning Clone Wars, making additional appearances in Star Wars Rebels, and also in another live-action appearance, Solo: The Star Wars Story. Now, Maul had even more character development from canon than he did in Legends, but his survival, nevertheless, might not have been even necessary. Okay, so Darth Maul's death served a purpose in Star Wars prequels. Okay, so Darth Maul was a drastically different type of Sith in his 1999 debut. Despite being some of the galaxy's deadliest fighters, Darth Vader and the Emperor were more often than not taken on the roles of political and military leaders, respectively, though manipulating the galaxy without having to draw their lightsabers or wield their unfathomable dark side powers. Darth Maul, on the other hand, embodied the martial aspects of sword and of Sith lordship. Now, Maul has a few lines of dialogue from the Phantom Menace, expressing himself mostly through his fearsome combat prowess and also letting out his iconic double-blade red lightsaber, which does most of the talking for itself. But Maul's focus on his fighting skills over his leadership and his manipulation was the stark contrast with the original trilogy-era Sith Lords. Now again, but then also made his death and replacement a necessity. In addition to his defeat helping Obi-Wan ascend to Jedi knighthood, Maul's downfall also allowed him to succeed by Count Dooku, a Sith Lord who was defined by his martial prowess and executive meddling of equal measures. Maul was depicted as a little more than a powerful and focused assassin from the Phantom Menace, but Dooku has worked alongside his master to manipulate the galaxy and subjugate it under Sith rule. Even though Dooku, like Maul, didn't live to see this come to pass. Maul's story was greatly improved after his death. Now, Maul was not bereft of character development in Legends by any means. His characterization was expanded in numerous forms of non-movie material, establishing him as a fleshed-out and in some ways a tragic character without contradicting his depiction from the Phantom Menace as a combat specialist. Nevertheless, though, the ongoing canon continually added some additional facets to his character in Clone Wars and Rebels. This notably included the establishment that Maul has took after his master and adopted father and was highly skilled in manipulation, and Maul took control of the Death Watch terrorist group and several powerful criminal organizations, forming the Shadow Collective. Following the end of the Clone Wars and the rise of the Galactic Empire, Maul has also led Crimson Dawn, which was a dreaded and highly influential crime organization. Now, you catch all that? I hope so. So relate to this article, Star Wars Every Apprentice Palpatine Had in Canons and Legends. But we're not talking about that unless you want me to talk about that. But Maul's Clone Wars and Rebels appearances also further developed his rivalry with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Maul was unsurprisingly hell-bent on extracting his revenge on the Jedi who cost him half his body, and thwarted his ambitions of ruling the galaxy along his master. Now, Maul emotionally tortured Kenobi throughout the Clone Wars, murdering innocent civilians and Jedi Knights, and the Mandalorian Duchess Satine, the woman who Obi-Wan loved. As payback, even after the fall of the Republic and the Jedi, Maul kept pursuing Kenobi, eventually finding him on Tatooine and dueling him one last time in mere 2 years before the New Hope. Kenobi finally killed his nemesis in this duel, but Maul's single-minded yet ultimately futile quest for revenge only added to his intrinsic tragedy of his character. Now, ironically though, Maul's greatest enemy was one of the few to show him kindness in the end, with Kenobi finally comforting Maul as he died of his wounds. Maul's Star Wars impact is massive, but was it needed? Well, that's another good question. While Maul's actions in Clone Wars and Rebels had the massive impact of Star Wars galaxies in canon, while they have established him as something akin to the small-scale version of his master, Palpatine, they weren't necessary. The Clone Wars Season 3 introduced the brand new villain Savage Opress, who was Maul's brother, and visually similar villain, seemingly as a means to give the Clone Wars a Maul-like character without contradicting the Sith Lord's death on Naboo. Opress had a marked different demeanor to his brother, but his Sith training under Dooku could have allowed him to learn his master's learnship and leadership and manipulation skills. Instead, the Clone Wars ended his apprenticeship rather quickly in favor of retconning Maul's survival. Should Darth Maul have stayed dead? Well, that's a good question. Maul's survival in Star Wars canon led to numerous memorable stories in Clone Wars and Rebels with additional character developments, granted of his lack of necessity in the highlighted Solo, where Maul's surprise cameo added little to the plot and likely confused average moviegoers who were unfamiliar with canon and non-movie material and likely assumed that Maul died in Phantom Menace. Legends had left Maul dead yet continued to characterize him from stories set before the invasion of Naboo, keeping the Star Wars timeline as clean and consistent as possible with the main saga films. The canon timeline gave an enormous amount of additional depth to Maul and added to the tragic futility of his life. Yet it was never necessarily for his overarching saga and ultimately muddled with the waters of continuity. The question of whether or not Darth Maul should have stayed dead has no subjective answer, but the two Star Wars timelines make compelling cases for their retrospective resolutions. So again, guys, let me know what your guys' thoughts are about if should Darth Maul have stayed dead. Again, please leave a comment below. I'd like to know your thoughts. And again, as always, have a wonderful night. I'll see you guys later for some more content, probably later in the week. Bye!